What's up, hobby friends? My name is Casey and welcome to another Miniature Rescue. Today, we're going to talk about what it takes to actually start a Warhammer army. This video is sponsored by Ravaged Star, but more on that in a little bit. There are so many options when it comes to starting a new Warhammer army, or really any army for any system for that matter. The vast catalog of miniatures out there is absolutely staggering, and more often than not, that makes choosing your next army project pretty tricky. Since I am currently looking to start a new army myself, I thought I'd break down some of the steps that I take in order to maximize my hobby dollars and still be really happy with an army that I've chosen to invest in. So where do I start? Before looking into budget or paints that you're going to need, you need to pick up models that really appeal to you. The more you like an army, the way it looks, and not necessarily the way it plays, the more likely you will actually end up painting that army and enjoying it regardless of how good it is. I've always picked models based on what I like to paint, and that usually means weird monsters and orcs. But whatever your preference is, make sure it's something that you like the look of because you will be spending quite a lot of time looking right at them. You definitely don't want to start building an army that you've paid good money for and not end up being excited to put paint on them when you're done with the assembly process and cleanup and all the other things that go into just creating it out of the box. So take your time and look at everything an army has to offer. More often than not, whatever Games Workshop is pushing on the front lines of selling an army on their website, it's not always the coolest models in the range that come up first. So look deep when exploring. Once you've picked something you like, then you can start to build a budget. Getting into a new Warhammer army can be pretty costly. The models aren't exactly cheap, so there are some things you need to consider before setting a budget. What type of game do you intend on playing? Obviously Warhammer, or at least in this case. But there are several facets of Warhammer that we need to look at. Casual play, tournament play, or both. If you're like me and pretty much only play casually, then there are a ton of options to save money while building an army. And we'll get into those in a minute. If you are going to play in official tournaments, then you're technically only supposed to be using 100% GW models, so the budget will have to be a little different. Even then, let's get into what it will cost you and how you can stretch your budget whether you want to play in tournaments or on the kitchen table. Now, pretty clearly, this channel is aimed at buying used models and turning them around to be used on the table. So I very much prefer buying my minis used in generally poor condition and fixing them up to play in a game. But starting a new army on a budget doesn't always mean buying used models to save money. In almost every case, no matter the army, there are big savings when it comes to buying models online. I use eBay to find new in-the-box models that go into an army, and they're almost always at least 20 to 30% off Games Workshop MSRP or more. On top of that, you're usually supporting a brick-and-mortar store that is trying to keep the lights on for other gamers to come in and play games in person, or a fellow hobbyist that is looking to get some extra cash for whatever they might be doing, more hobby or something more important. So buying used helps out quite a few people and gets you a nice savings in the process. The other thing to consider from a casual play perspective is how big of a game you plan on actually playing. A Warhammer army is broken up into point costs per unit or model, and there are several sizes of games that you can actually play. The full-size army point limit is 2,000, but you might want to consider playing a smaller game size around 500 to 1,000 points to start with. The smaller size still allows you to have fun with your army and on a smaller size table with a considerably smaller budget as well. So really ask yourself, what kind of game do you intend on actually playing? It doesn't have to be an all-in full-sized army version of the game. Competitively, of course, you do need 2,000 points, so it's just going to cost more in general. Still, I mentioned buying new kits from stores and hobbyists for less, so it definitely helps save some money. Almost everything I'm talking about can be applied to both types of players, so in reality, it's not all that different. The only exception is using proxies. Like I said before, there are an absolute ton of minis out there, and getting good minis for your army doesn't have to cost you. If you want to build an inexpensive army, then proxies are actually a pretty great way to go about it. You can use whatever minis you like to represent a type of troop option in your Warhammer game. Of course, it's nicer if they at least look like they belong, so hunting for models that are the same scale, have similar weapons to whatever minis you're trying to represent is the best way to go. Speaking of proxies, let me tell you about today's excellent sponsor. This video is sponsored by Ravaged Star. Ravaged Star is a new line of highly detailed sci-fi miniatures for use in your favorite tabletop games. This crowdfunding campaign is for the first faction, the Veiled Touched, and includes corrupted soldiers hell-bent on destroying any and every planet within their vast reach. The great news is that this campaign is actually already funded, and not only is there a massive set of really cool chaotic miniatures, but a boatload of reinforcements as well. But time is running out to back this project with a late pledge. The pledge manager closes on January 25th at noon EST. After that, well, you're a little late to the party. I was sent several miniatures from this collection, and wow, are they detailed. And what's more impressive is that these minis aren't 3D printed, they are high quality plastic minis. So there's no 3D printing involved, just get your minis and get to work. On top of that, the team behind Ravaged Star is in the process of developing a rule set that they plan on launching in an upcoming campaign. And each backer of this campaign will receive digital unit cards and beta rules for Ravaged Star, and also have a chance to play test and submit feedback for the game before the rules are finalized. The links to get in on this epic campaign are in the description below. Make sure to get that late pledge in before the 25th and secure your spot. You definitely don't want to miss these models when they ship out. They have been fantastic to look at and even more of a joy to paint up. A massive thank you to Mini Wargaming and Ravaged Star for sponsoring this video. Now let's talk more about getting that new army going. On top of all that, 3D printing has really come a long way in the last few years, and it's absolutely a viable option if you want to just print out and use an army. Even if you don't own a 3D printer, there are companies out there that will print your minis for you, so you don't have to be limited when it comes to buying models. If you do want to get into 3D printing, it does come with costs, and budget-wise, you'll likely break even or even spend a little more than you want to on your first army. The real savings comes from how much you can do after your initial investment pays off. You can print minis for days, and every time you do, the cost per mini goes down. So it's definitely a great way to get really high quality proxy models long term. So what is a realistic budget? Well, there's really no way to give an exact budget amount for what you're buying. I purchased 2,000 point armies for $150 before and gotten 1,000 points for $400. It really depends on the types of models that are in your army. But in my experience, you can get a used army or collection of new inbox minis that make up a good amount of an army, usually 1,000 points or more, with a budget in the range of $200 to $400. So let's walk through an actual buying experience, and I can show you kind of what I mean. Heading to eBay, I type Warhammer Army into the search bar, sort that by buy it now, used, lowest price first, and then head down to the dollar amount that we're looking for. You can see here there are a ton of put together and sometimes actually pretty well painted armies. Of course, you can search out individual armies and see what actually is available within your price range, or just browse a large selection of used armies that people are trying to get rid of. I tend to go about it a little bit randomly until I see something that's pretty large and in my price range. You really never know what you're going to find, and there are always new listings popping up to give you even more options. This search and its parameters are actually a great thing to save on your eBay account, and every time there are new listings within those set parameters, you can have eBay send you an email with those listings. It's honestly how I end up getting most of the models on this channel. Saved searches that show me when something pops up allows me to be the first one to see it and gives me the best opportunity to get something I'm looking for at the price that I want. What I love about this is that most of the work is done for you. Sure, you might have to strip some paint, but you're getting something that has already been put together, and that's really going to save you a ton of time when it comes to getting an army on the table. If you are looking to go with a new in the box experience, then let's take a look at some of those options and price check them against the Games Workshop store. Looking at some of the Cruel Boys boxes on the GW store, you can see that the prices are pretty high. Comparing these $50 Bolter Boys to the same box on eBay, you can see there is a bit of savings. All said and done, it's only 15%, but I'm not even talking about the price for an open box of sprues, which comes in at a savings of 55%. Now that's not normal for most boxes. These models just happen to come out in a starter set, so the price reflects the supply that is still out there, which is honestly something to take into account. there is an army that you like that is in a starter box, it's likely that the prices will be less than 50% MSRP. So a full 2,000 point army would end up being seriously inexpensive by comparison. This is pretty much how I buy all my armies for wargaming. Being on the hunt for specific pieces to come up in my price range allows me to continue to mentally invest in anything that hasn't gotten to the 2,000 point army limit, while still being able to have fun on the actual tabletop with lower pointed armies. But what do you do when you actually get an army? What types of steps do you need to take in order to actually get that army on the table? Let's start with the easy one first. If you buy everything new, then you need to assemble it, prime it, and paint it. Easy peasy, no problem. But if you end up with a mixed bag of new and used minis, you most definitely need to strip the paint off and get that plastic looking fresh again. In my experience, the cheapest and quickest way to clean minis is using a heavy-duty degreaser like LA's Totally Awesome, and a large container with a lid. Take all the minis you need cleaned off and stick them straight into the concentrated cleaner. Wait a couple of days and scrub off the excess paint. Now, mileage may vary on how much you need to wait, scrub, and maybe wait again, but eventually that paint will be lifted off and you'll be left with pretty much new minis. Even with the waiting and scrubbing, you're probably still saving time by not having to assemble every single model, and whatever is new and clean can be started right away. If you want to speed up that process, then I recommend using a sonic jewelry cleaner. Using the same degreaser, you can take those couple of days and turn that into about 20 minutes of work. It's a huge time saver if you plan on buying any type of used models that you plan on stripping. Now obviously there is a cost to that, but depends on how much you plan on doing. After that, it's about doing any kind of cleanup that the previous owner didn't get to. More often than not, that means removing mold lines from the models. The good news is, you really only need to take them off where you can actually see them. When you build models new, you generally end up spending quite a bit of time removing mold lines and finding out way later in the process that half of them are under something or behind something that you won't ever see anyways. So doing that while they're assembled can actually be a pretty nice way to go. It's going to save you some time. After that, you need to fill in any gaps on the models. Now, I say this because it definitely happens, but honestly not as much as you may think. Some models have gaps, and they aren't too hard to fill in with a little milliput or green stuff. But generally, when I get armies or even individual models, most of the gaps are totally fine. And honestly, that's probably a testament to the quality of models that Games Workshop does make these days. Now, there are, of course, exceptions, and again, milliput and green stuff can take care of that pretty quickly. But for the most part, you should be able to strip off the paint and get straight to priming your minis without having to worry about it too much. Right now, I'm working on a Cruel Boys army that was partially donated to me. Check this video out right here. And partially that I did purchase on eBay. There are only 10 models with paint on them, and I plan on stripping those and setting this army up for paint. But all the other models were already built. And I think out of everything here, there are only actually a handful of gaps that I'm considering filling in. Nothing even too terrible. My point is, even if the paint isn't great on used models, the construction, more often than not, is pretty good. Now, if you can't tell, I really enjoy this process, from hunting on used markets like eBay, Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, to the satisfaction of restoring something old and making it new again. In my mind, there is no better way to buy a new or used Warhammer army. You can be targeted with your purchasing, buy specific models that you need for an army, but also save money and help someone out. You can even get into other hobbies like 3D printing, which can augment your hobby in extremely unexpected ways and lead you down the path of other war games. The point really is, you don't have to overspend on building a new army, and I encourage you to try something new when it comes to playing war games like Warhammer. Help out a local gaming club or a fellow hobbyist by throwing a few bucks their way, and in return, you can get a sweet army for a lot less than you may have planned on spending to begin with. It just makes the hobby more fun and can kind of stretch things for everybody. It's pretty awesome. Thank you again for joining me on another miniature rescue. If you like something about this video, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe, as it really helps out the channel. Once again, I'm Casey, and I will see you in the next video. Speaking of the next video, I decided to build another Stampa, but not just any Stampa, a big Stampa, with the most DACA you've ever seen. Just thought I'd throw that out there.